I remember hearing his name. I was like, how the fuck do I know that name? And then I found out, yeah, it's the guy who plays Lex Luthor in Smallville. And I was like, oh, cool. So Sega tried their best to fork out big dough for a good cast. And then they decided for number 2 to go past that and just have it completely in the original Japanese language with subtitles. Unfortunately, it didn't click with number 2. As much as I love number 2 and believe it's the best game of the series, it sold the worst. And that was just one of the most saddest moments ever. And at that point, Sega went, we don't want to make another game because it sold bad. 1 and 2 did not meet their quota. In 2009, however, I was sort of loosely in the shadows a part of this campaign to bring 3 to the States and to the rest of the world. And these fans were so passionate. They just would not stop. They wanted this game to be released, and I wanted it to be released because at that time I'm become a huge fan of the series. So I signed petitions, and these other fans uploaded videos, and then eventually they did. We don't know to be sure if the fans had anything to do with the release, but I like to think that it did catch the attention of Sega and they gave it another chance. And what happened? The number 3 sales exceeded past 1 and 2 combined.
Yeah, Yakuza 3 actually sold very well, and that's why we're also getting Yakuza 4.
As much as I've said to my subscribers that I am giving up on games while I am saving up for Distant Worlds, get in that game. There's no other game. Besides East 1 and 2 Chronicles, those are the last 2 games I'm getting because there's no way in hell I'm waiting it out for 2 months without playing those 2 games.
Yeah, I actually played the demo of Yakuza 4 when it was released on the Japanese PSN. So I was playing it in Japanese, but I didn't care. I was like, oh my god, playing Yakuza 4, yes!
I actually got a question for you about that. I'm guessing you've created 2 accounts, one that accesses the US PSN and you've got one that you access the Japanese PSN.
Mm-hmm.
I've been hearing problems that people that do that in the UK and US, whenever they create 2 accounts, there's some problems that happen. Because I really want to create another account so I can access the Japanese PSN, because there's a ton of RPG demos there. But what I've heard is a lot of problems arise when you try to download 2 loads of firmware, and it kind of clashes and stuffs up your system. Have you ever had that problem?
No, I've never had that problem, because when it comes to the firmware, I'm usually always just on my regular account when that occurs, and
Yeah.
I just download it, and it doesn't really affect any other accounts that I may have. I've never had that problem.
Because I'm hearing some really bad issues with some people. Like, as soon as that happens, they can't connect to PSN on both accounts and all these really bad stuff. I'm like, really? Ugh. So I'm kind of, because I really, really want to access the Japanese PSN and play all the demos of their games, because they've got a ton of games that I desperately want to play on it. They just released the Catherine demo. I want to play that. Just some little really cool bit of knowledge should tell you about this, and I think it's hilarious. Shintai, did you hear about what Atlas has issued to anyone that would upload or stream anyone playing Catherine?
No, I haven't heard.
They have a warning. It's in-game. They got like that sheep character, and it says here, anyone who would spoil the end game of Catherine via stream, posts, or YouTube upload will die in their nightmares. And I'm like, what? I'm like, wow, that means there's something in the end game that the developers don't want anyone to know about. They want the gamer to experience it themselves. I've never heard of a developer going that far to issue a warning. That is awesome. It goes hand in hand what we're talking about YouTube. That's the double-edged sword of it. It gives you the opportunity to, showcase all these wonderful games you may have not heard about. At the same time, it destroys the experience of experiencing it firsthand with the control pad. And I think the developers see that, and they rather the gamer experiencing it for themselves rather than them just going on YouTube and spoiling it. But after reading that, there's no way I could do it. It seems like by reading that, I want to experience it for myself. So in essence, that message works.
That's crazy. I've never heard of a company, doing something like that just to try and get people not to spoil their game. See, that's one of the things I like about Atlas. They're so different, they're so quirky and odd, and they like to do things like that. They kind of like to mess with people, especially in their games, because their games are usually pretty dark and messed up in general. And I think that is following suit.
What I love about Atlas is the 2 big series that they've got under their wing right now is the Shin Megami Tensei series and the Etrian Odyssey series. I play Etrian Odyssey an hour a day because I can't stomach any more than that. I love the game, but it's the one game I've ever encountered that just requires dedication because it has one of the most simplistic battle engines very close to Dragon Quest, but the enemies are like some of the hardest I've ever played in an RPG, and you just have to grind just so you can face the enemies on the next floor.
Wow.
And it gets to the point that you really have to put in, okay, the game has a 24-hour system, and how I do it is I just play 24 hours a day. A good day in Etrian Odyssey would be close to an hour. So I always put in an hour a day and then go play another game. It took me about 15 to 20 hours to beat the first boss in the game. I didn't even encounter the first boss until about 12 hours into the game. And then I had another 8 to grind to even face him. And even then, he was still challenging. So in a sense, yeah, I can see the challenge fans going for it. But someone who loves a story-based game, I appreciate its level of difficulty, and I'm actually quite interested, so that's why I keep playing it, but I don't power play it. And I think that's the best way to play some games like that. Just invest a little time. Don't go overboard, otherwise you'll get burned out.
That actually kind of reminds me of what you were saying before about like some people like play games simply for story and some people play simply for gameplay. And I think I'm very much in the middle of that spectrum. I think that I'm pretty equal about, you know, a game on both story and gameplay. Like if a game has a good story or so-so gameplay, I'll play it. And if a game has really good gameplay and a so-so story, you know, I'll still play it. And I just think that it's really good that there are just so many different types of games and varieties and different types of RPGs, especially RPGs, appeal to a wide spectrum of people. Because a lot of people, they kind of have this misconception of RPGs in general. And they just think that, oh, it's just, you know, for those nerds or whatever. But honestly, if you think about it, you really think about it, RPGs, it has a hand in a bunch of different types of genres. And the RPG genre in general is just very flexible, and you can kind of mesh it with other genres very easily. And that's why I think that despite people thinking all RPGs are the same, they're really not. They really do appeal to a lot of different types of people. And like, I know someone who generally doesn't like RPGs, but there's still RPGs that he likes. Like, he's been playing one called Lucian's Quest on 3DO. And even though he doesn't really like RPGs, that one really appeals to him. And my dad doesn't really like RPGs very much. But I gave him Devil Summoner 2, and he really enjoyed that. I just think that, you know, the RPG genre is just one of the most versatile genres. You can kind of infuse it in almost any genre, and you can make it work.
Yeah, exactly. What's really cool is one of my friends said, do you play anything else but RPGs? I said, not really, because I've got a ton of them that play differently. Like I said, there are tons of different subgenres, but the big three I've always touched upon is the traditional RPG, the strategy RPG, and the action RPG.
Yeah.
For some odd reason, I love my action RPGs because you just get that bit more control. And I also love action-adventure games, that's why. So you'll see me, that's why I love games like East so much, and I love Landstalker, and the Tales of Alundra, and Dark Cloud, everything like that.
I really like action RPGs as well. I was actually playing Rogue Galaxy not that long ago, which is actually a really good level 5 RPG.
It is indeed, yeah.
Yeah, I think level 5 kind of gave themselves a bad name lately because of White Knight Chronicles. I just want to let people know, White Knight Chronicles is not as bad as people say it is. It's not great. It is not. It is nothing special, but it's not a terrible game. And that
it is not. It is not a terrible game at all. Sorry, you go.
No, I was gonna say it was just like, you know, don't let people dissuade you from playing other really great level 5 games like Dragon Quest 8 and, you know, Rogue Galaxy, or especially Dark Cloud 2, which is my favorite level 5 game. And, you know, definitely give those games a shot. And they've also did the Professor Layton games, which I haven't played because I don't have a DS, but I've heard very good things about it. Kind of reminds me of Phoenix Wright in a little bit, but yeah.
And ironically, they're going to have a game together on the 3DS. So yeah,
that looks awesome, actually.
Oh, the trailer's awesome. The one thing that I like about the trailer is the music. The music is really good, and I've been trying to find. I actually have found soundtracks for that some people uploaded on YouTube. That game has interested me. I've never played Professor Layton, but I'm thinking about it constantly. One thing I want to touch upon about Level 5 is they have one of the best stories ever. They were this simple little company that just took a chance in the PlayStation 2 era and made Dark Cloud, and then got a really small following, and then they made all these other games. Now they're one of the biggest powerhouses in Japan. I never would have thought about that when I played Dark Cloud. I thought they were going to be just a simple, humble little developer. And, you know, I think it has to do with Dragon Quest VIII. When they sort of joined hands with Square Enix, that gave them a huge boost. Now they're making games left, right, and center. I mean, their last conference they held, I think they had about 8 to 10 games they're making, which is just insane.
Yeah. You're right. It was especially Square Enix. I'm really glad they gave them that shot with Dragon Quest VIII. I'm really glad they thought that they were, that they could make a Dragon Quest game, and they did. They made probably one of the best Dragon Quest games.
It's my favorite game with PS2, and it is my favorite Dragon Quest game. And I know a lot of people are just getting into it with 9. What's really cool is I think 8 brought an audience over, and 9's helped brought another audience over. So with those two games combined, it's going to become very huge, which I am very thankful for, because in Japan, Dragon Quest is Mickey Mouse. It's like their old favorite pastime.
I think you mean the slime is Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, exactly. It's like one of the most popular pastimes. It's a part of their culture. They had to stop selling that game on weekdays because people were taking sickies, to the point that I can't remember, they lost about 5% of the workforce in Japan. I'm like, holy shit! And I'm like, that's a big deal. So now they have it on a Sunday, but apparently they're adopting that in America. And I've seen some Sunday releases from some of the Dragon Quest games, like the Dragon Quest 9 was a Sunday release apparently. And what I heard was last Sunday in America, that's when they released Dragon Quest 6. And apparently in one of the towns in America, Yuji Horii was there. I thought, oh, that'd be fucking awesome to meet him.
Wow.
But I like how they've adopted that. But at the same time, I also like their advertisements for Dragon Quest games, especially number 9, where they take the piss out of their own culture. I don't know what it says, but basically what happens is there's a fisherman, and he hooks a copy of Dragon Quest 9 to the hook, and he pops it in the water, and there's about 5 people hanging onto each other, hanging onto the game. And I'm looking at that going, that's slightly racist, but at the same time, they're doing it to themselves, so it's not bad. I think that's awesome.
That's pretty funny. Alright, we're getting... Okay, this has almost like been an hour long, so I think it's time to wrap it up. I want to really thank you. I want to thank you for, coming on my channel and having this really great discussion about so many different topics, mostly related to RPGs. I thought this was really fun, and hopefully we can try something like this again, or maybe we could do a review sometime. I think that'd be really fun.
Oh, absolutely. When I get back on, I think it will be around summertime in the US, wintertime here in Australia, which is around June, July, and August. Hopefully I'll be back on.
Alright. Everyone that's watched this, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you really like what you've heard, definitely check out RPGSwagman's channel. He has an excellent channel. If you love RPGs, he is the man to go to. I mean, his channel is completely dedicated to them, so I'm sure that you will definitely enjoy what he has. Thank you again for coming on, man, and thank you everyone.
Thanks guys, and thank you, good sir, for having me on.
No problem. Alright, that's it. Peace out, everyone.